Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Radio Free Renegades. We've got another premiere through Cloud City Modified game for you. We've got Bkippel versus the master, andytalaga, Mr. Meta himself. So we're very excited to bring the game to you. We're going to record live here as we watch, and then this will be posted in the various platforms wherever you get your Star Wars CCG content. So we're excited to see these two heavyweights go round for round and see what kind of stuff they play. So I'm super excited to watch this myself. We've got two esteemed fellow panelists with me, myself, and I. We have LargePorg Tommy. I'll let you introduce yourself, and I'll kick it over to Ben.
Hi everyone, LargePorg here. I'm the proof that porgs are not flightless birds. And happy to be here. I'm going to be streaming andytalaga's game, helping with the technology. Thanks for having me, guys.
Absolutely. Ben, you want to do your little intro?
Yep. Hi, I'm Ben Kenobi, Ben Lindstrom, the B-Wing guy. Renegade B, I think. We're kind of starting to come up with some intro names for each other. So
yeah.
we might get more. We'll get more into that later.
Yeah.
All right.
It looks like they're just kicking off here, so we're excited to get rolling. All right, we're gonna cruise in the lobby. Sweet.
All right, we're in.
I'm like super excited to see what these guys are playing. I watched the game earlier today with some interesting dark side tech. So see how this goes. So with the kind of standard Hoth start. What is that? Fourth marker, fifth marker, whatever one. The good one.
Yeah, we get the
fifth marker.
Fifth marker. Ooh, in the cave right from hands.
Nice. Getting some activation early. So Andy's playing light. Oh wow, lots of activation.
And we all know Andy hates light side.
Can't say I blame him. And then say Andy starting Dagobah, which pulls some sites, kind of the earliest form of pulling stuff. And then looks like Brad just draws in a hand. So,
okay.
One nice thing about
wait. No, Brad's dark side. Okay.
Yeah, so Andy's light, Brad's dark. One nice thing about Dagobah that I think is maybe a little underappreciated as a start is that you gotta have an opportunity to look in your reserve deck later game pretty easily, which there's not a lot of shots at in this format. So I think there's some utility benefit from the Dagobah start from that perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's great. The ability to look in the reserve deck and use that wisely, and Lightside's going to have that opportunity every turn. That's what separates the amateurs from the professionals.
I still consider myself very much in the amateur camp. All right. So Brad coming down aggressively to the, what do we just call it, the fifth marker?
Yeah.
With an Ozzel and Blizzard too. And Presence of the Force. So threatening a drain of 3 next turn.
Yep, right off the bat.
Well, we saw this in a similar game that we streamed, or was it last night or something? The AT-AT sitting there on Hoth all game, just picking away, and now looking at a drain of 3. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Nice start for dark side. So Lightside's going to have some answers to that, I think. Oh, there it is. There's the answer.
This is going to cancel Presence of the Force right away, knock that drain down.
All right.
So one thing to think about for Lightside now, though, with using your Clash of Sabers, you do not have, assuming not knowing how many he's running, that may be your one shot to pull for Uncontrollable Fury. So maybe limiting his options later game when Vader sees the table, but can't fault him for knocking the drain down.
Or clashing Vader in a battle with Vader and Tarkin or somebody else, yeah. But I think you have to do it. It's turn 2. You can't take that drain of that additional 1 force if you don't have an answer in hand, So.
Yeah, and I'd be curious your boys' perspective. I mean, obviously draw is heavily dependent. However, in this format, are you feeling that light side or dark side has an opportunity to get rolling faster? Because I have my own opinions.
What do you think?
I mean, pulling sites from Dagobah takes time.
Yeah.
It decreases the uncertainty.
For sure. Right. But it does take time. Yep. So dark side going down again with another walker. Maybe some protection.
That's interesting. I guess it gives more power there, but what's the forfeit is Blizzard's got 1/5. So I guess that gives you, if you light side gets a draw of 5, you don't end up losing Oswald and the walker.
Yeah. So Andy looked like more of a calm and collected approach, using the control to block the first drain on Darkside's turn, setting up his activation platform, got Savrip out. So obviously you can burn cards from hand to satisfy if you lose in a battle damage and attrition. So taking the calm, collected approach.
So he's going to draw up here. Leaves 1 in the force pile.
Going to 18 in hand. With nobody on table to sense an altar. So that's pretty... I would use an inappropriate word. I would say brave would be the politically correct.
Also, Monarch. You get to fear the Monarch right now.
Yep.
I think we can safely assume that he's got another Obi-Wan's lightsaber in hand at this point.
Yeah.
Because he burned the one off. Yep.
Sorry about the mess. I don't know.
Might have another in hand.
Yeah, maybe not.
What I play. I guess we streamed my game, so everybody knows what I play. I think light side and dark side with so many spies running around, it's obligatory more than one, I would argue.
Yeah, after what we saw with Premier to Hoth and how many spies there were.
For sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I have to say, I still haven't played any games yet. I've got my dark side deck built up for my game with Teacher on Saturday. I need to do some play testing and see if it's going to work. Oh, look at that. Andy plays Grimtash.
Does he play it lost?
Look at that. Okay. Yeah.
No, that's Lieutenant too small for me to...
Trade him, the guy that lets you go after undercover spies, and
three Vaders, 2 Vaders lightsaber,
2 controls,
2 controls, 3 I have you now. I mean, that's like a drain of what, 10 cards?
Oh my god! Wow. That's 10 cards. 10 cards.
Wow.
Flips the table.
Oh my god!
All right, I'm done with this silly game that we all play.
Wow.
That is brutal.
He's down to 9 in hand.
Yeah, that was... I mean, fair play to Andy, identifying the opportunity and playing it lost versus used. I think there may be an inclination for a player to not, use the one force or whatever it is versus playing the 4.
And I believe he did that to see what Brad had for space, and he has nothing right now.
Wow.
So Tantive, however you say it, 4 is at Kessel, now threatening and outdraining Brad. So that's a huge move. I think unless we see something crazy, that's got to be play of the game.
For sure. Interestingly, too. Oh, go ahead, Ben. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't know how. I'm sure I've seen a bigger loss from hand before, but not many.
Yeah.
And I mean, 3 Vaders, 2 lightsabers, two controls.
Frodo
3 I have you now.
Frodo Light got me pretty good at the Beezer Bowl. I had to dump like 6 cards into the lost pile. Still not as big as what Andy just did.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting. Andy just lost Uncontrollable Fury. So feeling satisfied with smacking 3 Vaders out of hand. He doesn't see the Uncontrollable Fury as an important card going forward.
Yeah.
So Brad played a control to cancel a drain there, so he's got a lot of controls in hand, or in his deck.
At least 4. Or 3,
so, yeah.
A lot, for sure. Big card in the meta.
And Andy, Tunnel Vision, such a great card. One of my favorite cards in the game.
Yep.
Well, Destiny 3 lost.
2?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Expanding on Lineside's ability to look in and get what they need to get.
Yeah, I mean, like the closest thing the dark side has to a counterpart in Dagobah is unexpected interruption, and that costs 2 force, and it only searches for interrupt. So,
yeah,
and it looks through your reserve deck, which is better sometimes, but sometimes it's worse. So many times, especially in later formats where you can look through your reserve deck, you can see, oh shoot, I have this card in my force pile, and then you can play tunnel vision to pull it out.
Yeah.
Yep. So it looks like we've got plenty of folks in the lobby here as Tommy checks. We've got lots of viewers. Folks interested what the rest of the field is playing. Can't say
So we've got
names.
SW Trumpet Guy, or Southwest Trumpet Guy and Teacher.
Yeah.
Are watching along with us, at least live. I don't know who's watching the stream.
Yeah, so we got...
Okay, we got Executor down with GMT versus Tan 4 and
nice. Big draw. Draws a 4 there. So that's probably wedge and change. Yeah, that's a big beat up.
10,
well, he's got the Savrip there, and he did lose, so he's going to burn from hands.
Yeah, so another Han.
Han's going to take 6.
That's so huge.
And he loses the Grimtosh and then a lightsaber from reserve. So
impressive.
Darkside coming in hot to Kessel to take that pressure off on the drain. And one other thing I want to point out here, Bkippel obviously takes great pride in his cards. You're seeing every card Darkside put down, except for maybe Reactor. It's a nice foiled, yeah. So, and that's something you can do on GIMP. If you're going to use GIMP for the first time, go into the merchant, sell your normal copies to get a foil copy of your card. Merchant's located right on the top of the GIMP lobby there. You can click in, buy packs, foil cards. It's a lot of fun.
Okay, Redemption. I imagine we're going to see a Bacta tank at some point.
Redemption, not a card I'm used to seeing from Cloud City.
Yeah, works very well with Bacta tank, obviously. Interesting to me that so much of this is now centered in space. Two great players, great deck builders, fantastic in the format. Interesting that we're seeing such a fight over systems with very little going on the ground. That to me is a surprising thing.
Yeah, and now with Lost Files, 15 light side to 14 dark side, we see the Executor move away from the Super Falcon.
Yep, so Andy being up in power and with the double destiny. Obviously, Executor is immune to basically everything from an attrition perspective, but if light side's equal in power, it forces dark side to peel if the power differential favors light side. So moving away, feeling a little afraid of Tantive and the Falcon.
Wow. There's another GMT and Evader, both from hand. You are beaten off the top of the reserve deck.
So he's running 3 of those. Wow. At least that I've seen, right? Because he peeled 2 from the Grimtosh, and then that's the 3rd one.
Wow. So it looks like Darkside was trying to fight on the ground. Lightside not giving him any opportunity. This must be all part of Andy's strategy here.
Always.
There we go.
Obi-Wan
is he
I would assume he's going to bounce over to the left and force Andy to spread, or excuse me, Brad to spread would be my thought for drain of 4 at the
suspecting no ice storms or having the controls to stop them.
Oh, 3 cards in hand on the light side.
Look at this.
Battle. That's a surprise to me. I guess he's got Savrit. Maybe he's got stuff in hand to burn.
That's it. 3 cards.
Yeah.
They better be good.
Yeah. It's like another copy of Ben, maybe. There's your back to tank.
Okay, so that's going
to the ATST.
Yeah. And
Three.
he avoids it. He's going to lose 4.
So if he's got
Man, that's
hand,
and Mantillion Savrip.
there we go. Oh, kills a Luke. Interesting.
Wow.
And then, so he knocks that out.
Well, not peels. It was from hand.
Sorry, he burns a Luke from hand. Thank you.
Yeah.
I expect to see him move over here now. With the Obi-Wan.
Me too.
Yeah. Okay.
Interesting to me that Brad burns the pilot there. Is he drawing Destiny with the 2 walkers? Or is he just not concerned?
Yeah, he probably expected him to move.
Wait.
Well, he's got 15 cards in hand.
When he played Grimtosh used this time, he doesn't have the force to play it loft.
Wow. Knocks Brad's hand down again. So no Destiny draw over at the 3rd marker for Darkside. Doesn't look like, don't expect there to be another fight, but we'll see. Super Falcon chasing down the Executor over to Kashyyyk.
Interesting game. This is not how I saw this shaking out. I'm surprised
not at all
by what we've seen so far.
Yeah. Wow. And Brad lost everything he needed out of hand on that last used Grimtosh. He's going for a big draw.
Yeah, and Andy only 3 cards in hand. He might do the same.
Yeah. Board state, I would argue, heavily favoring Lightside at this juncture. Darkside's just blocking the Drained Kessel with the Falcon bouncing around. Darkside draining for 2 at the whatever marker that is, the good one for Darkside, and then Lightside just hammering for 4 there.
Yeah,
at the planes.
Wow, I fully expected him to use Dagobah right away before he activated, and then I expect him to drain and try to draw up into another Grimtosh. But he must have known the Grimtosh is up on the top of his deck. He's going to try to draw into it here after he moves to Falcon.
It's a good deck manipulation. It's kind of a example of an advanced player strategy, knowing where your cards are after they go used, kind of tracking them through your deck.
Andy-Talaga, one of the more advanced people in the Retro League this year. Sharon Webb, so Spy.
Okay, he's on there. He's a good pilot, but not enough for Redemption to draw Destiny on its own. And so he's going to dock and move Chewie over.
No. So we've got Falcon and Tantive then drawing 2 Destiny. It's basically like Super Falcon plus Tantive because you've got Wedge piloting the Tantive there.
Wow.
Just dominating in space. It's so interesting. And Darkside's only got two sites on table. I wonder if Brad... And we didn't see much go lost from that I've seen so far. So
yeah,
just maybe anticipating Lightside to play some battlegrounds.
He's got the cave as well. That's one of Darkside's. So he's got the system and 3 sites, but the Dagobah one's useless to him. So Darkside can't persist in this way. He's got to make a move.
I wonder if he had more sites. Well, he lost his Vader, so maybe he's not wanting to play his sites because he might not be able to hold them. Because Luke.
So we got Walker coming down. This may be just a block of the drain.
Yeah,
I don't know if he battles here.
He's gonna have to move
because he's not.
Over. Yeah. Yeah, he's not drawing.
Not in a great way. Yeah. And Lightside still draining a Kashyyyk for 2. So he's just going full bore. Saying, all right, come get me.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So he gives up that drain of 2 to try to control the big drain damage here.
Andy with another tunnel vision.
Yeah, he's
great card.
Wow. All right, so what do you think What do you think Andy just took out of the force pile there? Maybe a neighboring.
Neighbor. Yep. Answers your question, Tommy. So I can just bounce over here and drain for 4 again, or 3. It's 3 at that site. So
no, it'll be 4. Wait, or is it minus
4.
1? Yeah, it's going to be another 4. Yeah. Look at that. Brad concedes.
Oh, wow.
Whoa. Tough one.
Yeah, fast. You might not have had no answers for that at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, just over. Wait, it's 20. Would we start with? Is it how many minutes? Is it 50 minutes or 45 minutes?
Good question. I'm not sure.
I think you start at 50. No, you have to. I imagine you start at 60. So this was. That doesn't feel right though. I think it was 50 minutes a player, so just over 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just absolute domination. I think that the play of the game for me was the Grimtash lost with the big hand for Darkside.
That took Vader out of the picture. And I imagine Brad maybe he had one more Vader and he was just digging for it. Well, we'll find out when we talk to them.
Yeah, I don't have Brad on the Discord, but Andy said, give me a minute and he'll be able to jump on.
Wonderful. So, yeah, I think surprising to me with so much space from both sides. I would be curious to ask Brad if his plan with all those I have you nows was maybe GMT and Vader in space, and I have you now canceling a Destiny and then adding some with what he was planned. But he just plays the Executor, which in my mind is I put this at a system and this is my land and that's that. Just felt like Andy was able to get his deck to do what he wanted it to do, and Brad was just kind of behind the 8 ball the rest of the game after the Grimtash.
Yeah. Okay, so waiting on Andy here to join us.
Yeah, you said the play of the game was the lost Grimtash, definitely knocking 10 cards right out. What did you say, Misha, for yours?
Oh, the same you said.
Yeah, that was my call. I think, Ben, what was your play of the game?
Yeah, that was it. I called it at the time it was played.
Yeah.
So, definitely.
Pretty hard to argue with that not being game-changing for Lightside.
Yeah.
And then, Mantelian Savrip was huge here, too. Letting Andy soak up the damage in battles against Executor. While he was, shuffling back and forth with just 2 systems. This game has only 3 battlegrounds in it. That's it.
Yeah, 2 of which are in space, which is surprising to me. You'd expect far more battleground sites than battleground systems, and in this case, it's the reverse.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what do you think Darkside could have done in that situation?
Like at what point? Before the Grimtash?
Yeah, it's really hard to know.
Or after the Grimtash? Yeah, it's hard to know without knowing what he had in his deck. We never got to see other than Andy.
What's up, Andy? How you doing, man?
Hey.
What's going on?
Don't worry, we've all got bad hair.
I'm wearing a hat because my hair is not worth having on stream. So
yeah, my hair is disappearing. So.
Fair enough.
So really, only Porg is the clean cut, all put together guy with a button-down shirt.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
we could only all be as great as Porg.
We don't hold back here on Renegade Squadron. Welcome to the show. So we just got to see your game against Bkippel here. How'd you feel about the game?
I got super lucky. My opening hand was god awful. I had basically nothing. Every card in my opening hand was a blank. And I was like, I gotta get something good here. So when I searched for Yoda's Hut on turn 1, every card that I activated was a blank. And I was like, all right, I just lose this game. There's no way I could possibly win this game. especially when he went like location on like turn 1 and then followed it up with like a walker, and I was just like,
Yeah.
there's literally nothing I can do against this. Like, I'm so screwed. The only thing that saved me was I had so in my hand, I can't say they were all blanks, but they were basically all blanks, right? I had Han, Captain Han, or I drew into Captain Han and Falcon. And then I drew into Redemption and Tantive. So I'm like, if I can find Kessel, maybe I can piece something together here. So on like turn 3, I drew up to like 18 cards or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Drawing into one of my Grimtash, because so I play tested against Walker Garrison style decks a bunch. Party McFly was playing some. Bad Ewok, who's Bjorn Palmquist, he played some. I played a bunch against Fly Monkey, I think, or one of the guys that's always got a CC table up, and he had like a Walker Garrison Clouds deck. So I played against all these decks, and the key to beating Walker Garrison is you just Grimtash them over and over and over again. So I ran 3 Grimtash in my deck, which is a lot for me because I generally don't even run any Monarch or Grimtash because I just think it's kind of a wasted card. But the only way to really beat Walker Garrison for light side mains is just Grimtash them every turn. Grimtash. You know, because you like Grimtash them lost first, right? And maybe you hit like a couple cards. I got super lucky and hit 10 cards, including 3 Vaders.
Yeah.
So that was the only reason I won that game. There's no other reason
huge.
that I won that game.
Yeah, for we were talking, that was the play of the game by far.
Yeah,
that's what
without
won
question.
that game, basically. Well, there's two things that won that game, but that was basically it. So normally you like Grimtash them and hope to get like a couple cards. And then they're like, well, they can't possibly have another Grimtash, right? So then they draw up this hand to like 15 or 16 cards. Then you Grimtash them back down to 8. So then they have to draw up a bunch of cards again. Then you Grimtash them lost. Then you activate back into your Grimtash tunnel vision for it, and you try to play Grimtash 4 times in a row, and it just ends the game. That's how you beat the Walker Garrison deck. But like, and Brad played Walker Garrison all through Premier through Hoth, so I was like, maybe he's gonna be on a Walker Garrison deck. And he started Ice Plains, so I was like, all right. And then he's got like Third Marker, and he was actually more on like a traditional mains and toys style dark side deck, but he wasn't playing any sack. But I don't think we ever.
I didn't see any peel or played.
Yeah, so I threw all mine away to 4 strains and stuff. But like, so like I Grimtashed him, so I drew up to like 18 cards. But then that forced him to draw up to like 19 cards to look for his own Monarch to Monarch me. But he didn't find it. So that was like the lucky thing, so that I could Grimtash him, hit 10 cards out of his hand. And then I saw the last card that I drew, which was like card 18, was Kessel, right? And so like then my only out is to basically go Kessel and ship. And I saw that when the Grimtash, he had no ships, so I could just leave Tantive there by itself for a turn.
I noticed that.
Out, and I've got now that I drew into like 15 or 16 cards, I've got like several mains. So my thing is like I'm just going to ignore the Third Marker for a little bit, try to set up in space. Then he played Kashek, and I was like, I'm so saved because I can take over space. Like. I've got Captain Han and the Falcon and Chewie and Wedge in my hand and Calfal and like Redemption. So I'm going to just basically take over space no matter what he does. And then, he saved for a turn. I got in a huge drain. And then like he plays Executor and Tarkin, which like I'm not really going to beat. I don't have any 6s in my deck. I don't think I have any 6s in my deck. So I'm never going to crack the immunity to it. So my only goal is to like basically get to like I had shock in my hand, but I could never play shock because there were no locations that had scomp links so that I could track the shock. But my only goal was to try to be like hope that when we do eventually battle, he draws low, like 1 or a 2, and I draw like 5-4, and have to make him like either lose Tarkin. I mean, I'm sure he's got like infinite pilots, like Veers he could throw on, or like another Tarkin or something. But like make him be in the position where he has to run away from me in space, and I can just always get a drain, and then I'm parity with him on his third marker drain. And then I can go down eventually with Obi, Saber, Proficiency. I'm power 8. He's going to outpower me, but then I can just continuously Savrik because I've got like Son of Skywalker and Princess Leia and like all these, or whatever the Cloud City. And, I've got like a bunch of characters in my hand that I get, and other copies of Obi and Yoda that I can just sit there and throw to Savrik and just eat away at his walkers. Now, he drew back up to like 15 cards. So I figured he's going to come down with Blizzard 1 and like Veers, which eventually he did come down with Blizzard 1. But like, I could wait a turn, I guess, because like I was holding the Cloud City guest quarters in my hand. So like I could wait a turn to Tunnel Vision and just play this like, I'm going to walk over to the third marker. Now you can't drain me at the fifth marker. Now you're going to walk all 3 of your walkers over there. Play my Cloud City guest quarters and then neighboring over to Cloud City, and he's just going to be done.
Yeah, that was huge.
But I figured if I go to the 4th marker, I can set up with a Son of Skywalker. Now, I lost both my Anakin sabers to Force Strains or something early, so I'm never going to get that over on Cloud City, but I could at least set up over there on Cloud City. Then I've got like a few drains, and I guess that's probably the better play now that I think about it, just because like I'm going to always be the one running away from him on Hoth. Like I'll get that drain in, the last drain for 4 in when I neighbor over to the third marker. But then he just moves his walkers around, and then I have to like move away, and then he gets to drain and then moves in front of me. So I'll never drain on Hoth again. That was actually probably it's probably a bad play. I should just wait a turn. Go get the neighboring out with the Tunnel Vision, walk over, and then just play the guest quarters and neighboring over to the guest quarters and set up a drain of 3 there. The only problem is if he still is sandbagging like an Imperial Decree, that's just really rough because it's going to shut off like a bunch of drains. But he conceded there. I think he still has game, right? Like he can readjust his pilots on the walkers so that he could like set it up where like I have no good option to go with the walk against his walkers. The Destiny in my deck is honestly just shit. So like, it's like a 3. I'm just never going to crack his immunity. I'd have to basically I threw 2 smoke screens in just because my Destiny was so bad in testing that I had to find a way to just kill Vader or a walker. So I would be fully dependent.
Well, Grim Chashing 3 of them is a very easy way without Vader ever seeing the table, and he had no opportunity to play any response.
If I don't hit Vader there, I just don't think I have a chance in that game.
Yeah, it was a huge play. So I would be curious, Andy, when you built out this deck, so what are you trying to do with it, if you don't mind sharing with us and the greater world?
So, I start Dagobah, right? And it's just so with the introduction of Cloud City and to an extent Dagobah, light side Dagobah cards, except for Tunnel Vision. Tunnel Vision is just great. You need to play 4 copies of Tunnel Vision in any light side deck you're playing. It's just like the best card in like light side. Stuff like Order to Engage that you normally would see in like later formats like Premier to Death Star 2, or like Scramble's really good. Like Scramble's nuts. But like these kind of cards, like they're good, but they're not like so amazing. And then because like the thing with Order to Engage is that you're like, when you're playing in like Premier to Death Star 2, the docking bay transits on certain docking bays can be prohibitive from you running away, and or you get stuff like Fallen Portal, and so Darkseid doesn't want to necessarily always attack into you. which then triggers Order to Engage. But you don't have all those kind of tricks in Premier to Cloud City, Premier to Dagobah. So like Order to Engage, it's still good, but it's not as good as it like eventually becomes. And really, other than like Son of Skywalker being a strict upgrade on, or not strict upgrade, he's a pretty good upgrade on Premier Luke. Tunnel vision, control, and the Dagobah sites. You don't really get anything out of Dagobah. Dagobah is just a garbage set. So like you get Cloud City, but Cloud City has like really good battle interrupts, clash, glancing blow, plus like all the like Lightside finally gets good locations. Like,
yeah, that was going to be my comment.
Like, Premier through Hoth, Lightside just has awful locations. They've got a lot of good 2-0 sites, but they don't have good drain sites. Like Cantina, I guess, is fine, but like Darkside's already on Tatooine and stuff. And then like the Cantina is only good because you can Cantina shuffle, but then Mos Eisley is an exterior site, so they can just load it up with a walker there, and then you're just kind of like trapped. Whereas Cloud City Lightside has 3 very good Lightside Cloud City sites: the Carbonite Chamber, Lower Corridor, and Guest Quarters. They're all interior. No walkers can go there. Your characters get great bonuses, right? Leia's deploy plus minus 4 strength for Guest Quarters. Your guys are really powerful at Lower Corridor. It now becomes basically another Kessel for you on the ground because you're going to add 1 with your lightsaber, which you want to be there. It also protects you from Circle because Obi's always power +2 at that location.
You also get path between those sites too, which allows you to bounce around, and unlike you're able to do in prior formats with Lightside.
Path's okay. You can lift tube escape as well, which then puts higher destinies in there. You can go a Sabak route and play with like Lando, lift tube escape, put the lift tube back, get perfect Sabak, that kind of stuff. So there's like a lot of cool things you can do with Cloud City sites. They're all really good. Plus you get good battle interrupts. Plus all your characters get upgrades. Like if you've ever watched my review, my like very first review of like my tournament report for Premier to Hoth from like 2 years ago, I go on like this 45-minute tirade about Leia Organa and how just awful she is as a character. And like how Jaren Webb is just like so much better than Leia Organa. Princess Leia.
Yeah, I've seen it. I watched all 45 minutes of it.
Princess Leia is just like a much better version of Leia. Yep. Like nobody really cares about the spy part. Jaren Webb's just still a strictly better spy. And you really only need 1 spy, to be honest with you, because Nabrin's still just the best spy you can have to get to your opponent's 2-0 sites. And then like Captain Han is very good. I play 1-1 because you don't always have a place that you want to put Captain Han. You sometimes want to actually play Han Solo to Tatooine. Making yourself be able to redraw versus making your opponent be able to redraw does come into play. So like a 1-1 split's fine. But like Lando's very good. Lando gets more powerful if you control more Cloud City sites, which you want to be set up on Cloud City. He also makes your Falcon immune to less than 5. He has a huge forfeit for Savrip or back to tank. Redemption is just the best light side ship in the format because you can just continuously play your characters off of back to tank for free. So you like, Wedge means that they need to outpower you by at least 9 to make you even lose 1 force. And then you just play it for free again the next turn. So like they have to outpower you by so much. And by that point, you're just setting up Savrip and KFC and it's over in space. Like Darkside can't beat Savrip, KFC, Redemption, back to tank.
So what's your deck trying to do, Andy? With all that said, what were you building to? What was your win strategies?
Drain at the Lower Corridor. That's it.
Which you didn't even do, and still won.
But you get a better activation platform, right? You get Dagobah, right?
Yep.
I don't love Dagobah because you give Darkside 2 force to start with.
Totally.
But you do get to pull out all of your sites, which means that you lessen the number of zeros that you have floating. And I don't play Training Ground because I don't want to give Darkside another force, but I play the other 4 sites. And that between all of that gives you what's that, 7 force, plus you can play Yoda at the hut, or move Yoda over to the Dagobah cave and shut off Darkseid's activation there, which is basically just as good. And then after that, I play I don't play Carbonite Chamber because I don't like 1/1 drain +1 sites in general, but it's not bad. But I play Guest Quarters and I play Lower Corridor and Kessel. And the objective is just stack Kessel, stack the Lower Corridor, and drain them for 6.
So what are you doing against Decree if they shut off your drain bonuses?
Yeah.
And your goal is those drains because you got
It's still 4.
You still just drain for 4, and then you move to the Guest Quarters. You're draining them for 5. Darkside Decree, the only version of that deck that's any good is with Clouds. At that point, you just stack and take out. You make them run away from your fleet, and you either take over Hoth and then drain them for 2, and then make them move to, so they can never control your system. Or you can Falcon into Clouds. It's a little bit dangerous because your Falcon's power -2, and they can Talon roll. So you have to, that's against the Clouds version, you have to hold all your senses. You can't lose sense. You're just going to throw away 2 force every time to there is no try if you need to, but it's usually worth it because you need to cancel Talon roll and you need to cancel Walker Garrison. You can get away a little bit against Walker Garrison. Like you could eat a drain of like 4 at one site and control another site or something, but you just sit there and drain them for like 4 or 5 instead of 7, and you run around on Hoth and try and block a drain here, block a drain there, but you mostly just turtling on Cloud City and make them come to you. I'm not a fan of playing games where I have to play on my opponent's terms. I play very aggressively generally. This last game wasn't super aggressive. I just got lucky and then took the offensive.
You drained for 10 on turn 4 or whatever it was.
Yeah, so I got lucky, took the offensive, but generally I play very aggressively and make my opponent come play on my terms because I don't always know what my opponent has or what their plan is, but I always know what my cards are and what I'm going to do and where my cards are in my deck that I'm tracking. So it's easier for me to play where I'm going to force them to, come at me. And that's just what I want to do. And
with Lightside's battle interrupts, I think you're in a good spot with everything you just mentioned. I think it's interesting to me to hear that your win strategy was basically nothing of what happened, and starting the game, you figured you were going to lose. And I'll speak for myself as a new player. Those are the games that I may hit the concede button way too soon.
Yeah.
And, this is a game, for those that are new to it, it's a game of many, many turns, and what seems like an unwinnable game early on, you may hurt in the beginning of the game, and by the end, you may pull it out and still win.
Right.
I still think Brad conceded. I don't know what he had in his hand because he reactor terminaled like 5 times, but I don't know what. I don't think that I was in a losing, or I don't think he was in such a losing position there to concede that game. He had, I want to say maybe he had like 20-ish cards left.
Yeah, he got 14 in the reserve deck and 10 cards in hand when he conceded.
So he has 24 cards. I'm going to drain him for 6. That puts him down to 18 cards. I think I had about 20. I was under. So he's not going to, but then I'm just in this cat and mouse game on Hoth with his walkers. He's not going to drain me that next turn, and I'm going to move the Falcon back in front of Executor. So then he's going to move. I'll get in a drain of 3. I'm going to set up on Guest Quarters, so I'm going to have a drain of 4 going. It's not super great for him, but I'm not in exactly a winning position. Yeah, I can now track my neighborin and get away from his walkers, but if he just splits his walkers, I mean, Obi can only do so much, and I assume he's going to still have something. Like, yeah, he doesn't have a Vader. I don't know. Unless his hand is like 10 red cards that aren't going to do crap, like, I don't think I concede there.
With 7 more I have you now after losing those 3 ratings.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll never know, but for me, the takeaway is like, play out the game, especially for Brad. I respect him immensely, but more from your perspective, having ultimately won, and you get that one lucky hit with Grimtash and changes the game, and ultimately puts you in a winning position. So, I think it's very interesting, and especially hearing that what you built your deck to do isn't ultimately anything that happened on the table, and you ultimately end up beating somebody that's a great player.
Not like I think that's the other thing is, yes, that's what my deck's supposed to do, but my deck almost never does that. My deck just sits there and does exactly kind of what you saw in this game. I'm going to play on your sites, but make you play on my terms. And we're just going to battle. And so, like, the other thing is the worst thing you can do in retro formats is battle. Battling is the worst possible thing you can do.
Why do we play this game then, man?
It just opens you up to losing the game.
They should have called it
Right?
Star Peace, not Star Wars.
Just so
Star Drain.
Yeah,
Star Drain, yeah.
Star Drain.
You have no control. I couldn't agree more.
When I did my original Hoth analysis, there were 3 things that you need to do in a game, and if you're doing 2 of those 3 things, you're going to win that game. It's probably slightly modified now with our Premier Cloud City, but those 3 things are: you do not want to draw destinies, you do not want to battle, and you have to win the sack war.
Right.
So if you lose the sack war, but you're not drawing destinies and you're not battling, but just force draining, you're probably going to win that game. If you're not force draining, but you're winning battles and you win the sack war, you're going to win that game. If you're force draining at non-battlegrounds and you win the sack war, and you're not battling, you're going to win that game. But if you're only doing one of those things, you're going to lose. Straight up. And battling is the worst one to do. You do not want to battle, and you just want to sit there and force drain at non-battleground sites and not interact with your opponent. Interacting with your opponent is the worst possible outcome that a game can have.
I do remember you saying that. Yeah, that's great info, great reminder. And
breaks my heart, I have to say, because I play this game to interact with my opponent. But I think you're 100%. You're right. There's no arguing.
Interact with your opponent. Go have a blast in Reflections 2 format.
Well, we're gonna change the name. Yeah, we'll change the name on all of our streams to Star Drains coming up. And well, Andy, thanks so much for the insight. Yeah. That was really great.
Wonderful.
Any final question, Ben? Do you have any final question before we cut it?
No, I've been enjoying this and enjoying my cat trying to put me to sleep here. But no, that was an excellent game. It was really insightful to see what happened, and even more so to hear you go over what happened and what your strategy is and was and how you play it, Andy. That was excellent.
Nice. Well, thanks for having me on. And if Brad ever does watch this, thanks for the game, Brad. I always enjoy playing against him. He's a very good player.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thanks again so much for coming on, and it was really great talking to you. It's been a while. I haven't seen you since the Beezer Bowl. Hopefully we'll get together with you soon.
I hope they put Corporal Beezer as the leader in Star Wars Unlimited.
That would be amazing. 10 out of 10. I play that deck every single time.
Yep.
All right. Well, until
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Until next time, this is Renegade Squadron signing off. We'll catch you all next time. Have a good night, everyone.
Cheers. Have a good night, guys.